Hello, everyone, and hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome back to the LifeVision Lab podcast, where we explore the intersection of clarity, purpose, healing, and the deeper wisdom that helps us create aligned lives. I'm your host, Shwetha, and today I have someone truly special with me. Joining us is Cheryl Stelte, spiritual coach, master healer, best-selling author, and founder of the Star of Divine Light Institute and the Azaris Energy Healing Certification program. I hope I said that right, Cheryl. Cheryl has over 30 years of experience in deep healing work, and she helps women who know they are meant for more gain the clarity and authentic power they've been searching for. Her work is all about helping them break through subconscious blocks when nothing else has worked as profoundly. I'm so grateful she's here with us today. Cheryl, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's great to be here with you.
I'm so glad to have you here. Cheryl, I'd love to begin with your story. You've dedicated more than 3 decades to healing, spiritual leadership, and transformation. What initially led you into this path of spiritual work and energy healing?
I was on the beach one day picking oysters with a girlfriend of mine. We were going to be picking oysters, and while we were waiting for the tide to go out, she asked me if she could practice kinesiology on me. She was learning to do some kind of energy clearing. And all of a sudden, I had this huge ball of white light hovering above me, and it radiated the most love I had ever felt in my life. I suddenly realized it was my deceased brother who had taken his life. It was his spirit. I just started crying. And she's carrying on and doing her thing and talking a mile a minute, and I'm waiting for her to stop so I could tell her. And then she said, "Oh, it's about your brother." And then she said, "Oh my God, he's here." And I said, "I know." And
Wow.
to save you all the details, his message to me was to start meditating. And he hadn't known I had recently been diagnosed at that time with severe depression. And I did do a meditation course. And then I started accessing my subconscious, not through what they taught me, but through what I'm to talk about today with you. And I started healing myself and
Wow.
never looked back.
Amazing. And that was clearly a defining moment in your journey, right? That opened the door to this calling. How did you get into any specific training, Cheryl, in shamanism, yoga, meditation to get to where you are today?
Yes, I have to imagine what it was to be me. This was,
Yes.
I was raised Roman Catholic. I
Mhm.
had stopped going to church. I went to church once in a while because I liked the singing, but I always believed I had my own connection with God. And it was very soon after I stumbled across shamanism and started studying that, and then started doing a lot of training and practicing that. But I always saw the meditation as separate, different from the shamanism. So I had my shamanic practices, I had my meditation and healing, and I just continued to train in different modalities. And it was at that time yoga was just starting to become a thing. And our
Mhm.
recreation center had a hatha yoga class, and I'm going to sign up for that. And I've just done so many different things. And the shamanism, I trained through the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. I did a lot of training, went to a lot of 3-day workshops and that sort of thing, and
Mhm.
found some fellow shamanic students and practiced with them. So did a lot of work. So that was in the beginning. And it just kind of went on and started doing retreats. I did my own vision quest. I studied with Denise Lynn, a great spiritual teacher, and I did her certification program, interior alignment and instinctive feng shui, Reiki
Wow.
acupressure diploma. Yeah.
Mhm. Wow. So you definitely went down to explore all the different parts of this world.
Yes. I did. I even got my yoga teacher training in India.
Oh, wow. Amazing. And so many of the women in my audience, Cheryl, are high performers, corporate leaders, founders, moms juggling everything, and they feel blocked despite doing everything right. What are some of the most common subconscious blocks you see in high achieving women?
Well, I just want to emphasize that word subconscious. They don't realize what the problem is. And
Mm,
there are subconscious problems that are always operating. And I just want to lead in by saying when you're in business, when you're in corporate America, wherever you are in your career, when you're a leader in some way or very much a high performer, you are always growing through your work. And
mm,
what happens is along that way, you develop more light as you grow, more successful you become. Eventually, that light shines on your darkness.
mm,
There's always a time, there's different phases of our development spiritually that we go through. So when we get to that place, when we hit that glass ceiling or we're feeling really stuck, there's usually some very deep problems that we don't
mm,
recognize because they're in the subconscious. And those are often the four subconscious beliefs. I'm unworthy. I
mm,
don't matter. So you work so much in your life and you feel like you matter so much, but there's something underlying that I really don't matter, or I'm not enough, or I'm unlovable. And there's so many offshoots of those. And it can be created by suddenly you need to become more visible in your career.
mm,
And
mm,
that can be a really hard thing for you.
mm,
It can be about speaking your truth, or it might be
mm.
a deeper layer around setting professional boundaries. Your stuff comes up and you get triggered and you get stuck, and we try and deal with it. I mean, high performers, we can have the worst things going on around us, and we always
Mhm.
manage to get it all done, take care of everybody, and keep moving
Right.
forward.
Right. And so, what are some of the most common things or common support system you provide them, Cheryl? How do you work with these high performers?
The first thing, the easiest thing to do is to do a chakra reading with me. That is the easiest thing to do because then you can discover where the blocks are,
Mhm.
specifically what they're about, specifically what they're about. And it's really, especially when you get to a time in your career or your business where your level of fulfillment, your level of personal satisfaction is no longer serving you. That's enough.
Mhm.
It's actually an area of spiritual development. And
Mm.
so that's really a time of unlearning. You learn to master. But I help people. I love to start with just a chakra reading because you gain all the insight, but you
Mhm.
also find out not just where your blocks are, what they're about, but what your superpowers are, where
Mhm.
light is shining brightly, what your
Mhm.
strengths are, and how you can utilize those strengths to help heal yourself, to help.
Mhm.
And then for those people that want to try and do the work, I'll guide you. I'll give you some meditations and that sort of thing. I like to start one on one. I've done a lot of groups. I've done so many groups. And to go deep, people say,
Mhm.
Cheryl, nobody goes as deep as you do. And if you're ready to go deep and you want rapid change, rapid, stable change. We just work together for a number of weeks and you learn how to do this work for yourself so that
Mhm.
you can continue to grow and evolve, become more and more successful and more fulfilled.
Mhm. And do you distinctly remember that first client you signed up to do this kind of work, or did it sort of evolve over time?
It's evolved over time, but I remember the first one when I first started my throat chakra program. I remember this woman, Isa, came to me. She was very successful in her life. She was
Mhm.
through a divorce at the time. And she came to realize through the divorce was she really had a hard time speaking her truth. She could
Mm.
say everything that everybody wanted to hear, but
Mhm.
to really say how she
Mm.
felt we could be the president of a country and not
Mhm.
speak our authentic truth.
Right.
She came to work with me And she didn't even realize this was so much of a problem. She,
Mm.
in her early 60s, we worked together. She would come back every week. We have a session every week. You wouldn't believe what I can't believe I said it. It just came out and it was so easy. And I could just setting boundaries with people and opening up to other people who should
Mhm.
not have before. It's very transformative. And what I always ask people when we're finished working together, did you ever imagine you'd become the person you are now? And they always say, no, couldn't imagine. They can't imagine what it's like to be their authentic selves.
Right. That's beautiful. And how does the body store these patterns of unprocessed energy? Do you see it? And do you have common places where you see it?
I see it in the chakras primarily. That's where I look, but I do see other energy as well. If there's ever anything in your field, that is
Mm.
never good. Anything really that's encroaching, but those sorts of things I can just get rid of in a chakra reading. I just did one this morning. There was something in there, and that doesn't happen very often. But I do really look at the chakras. You know, when I first did that first meditation class, I bought a book on the chakras and started studying them and doing these chakra meditations way back over 30 years ago. And I see them, I see where the blocks are, and I see them as black. It's dark energy, often in bowls or clumps or that sort of thing. And then I see where your light is flowing well and how
Mm.
it's flowing, how radiant it is. And so I
Mhm.
see gray. Sometimes there's gray. And I can really tell when people have done a lot of personal work in a particular area. And I can,
Mhm.
those people that pray well, I can see prayer in a heartbeat. That is always evident. People who have worked on the heart chakra, but that's, you would be taking my word for it, right? From what I see, what's going on with you. But scientifically,
Mhm.
science has now proven that trauma and all our wounding is encoded in the right side of the brain, the subconscious,
Mm.
through physical sensations and emotions. It's not stored through linear memories. And so many people think we have to have all the memories, and any traumatic memories are always fragmented. They are
Mm.
skinny little pieces, and our
Mm.
brain wants to jump in and fill in the gaps. And on a therapy, they try and help you remember everything, and it's impossible. And it is not required, because when you do the deepest work, it's about feeling the emotions that you weren't able to process.
Mhm.
Whatever it was happened, and you might have pieces of memory, but that's not how you heal it. The fragmented memories are superficial, and then it's the physical sensations.
Mhm.
And when we do this kind of work, you might experience some pressure, some pain, some tingling, all sorts of different things. And
Mhm.
some people experience pretty intense pain. It's not common, but it'll away by the end of the session. Then the deepest layer, that trauma is encoded through the emotions. We didn't have the emotional resource there, someone there to help us process the emotions. We didn't learn how to do that. And let's face it, 2-year-olds simply do not know how to process their emotions, or it's rare if they do. And so they feel so confused. Confused
Mhm.
is an emotion of trauma because
Mhm.
they don't understand. And so I help people process all that,
Mhm.
moves those blocks, all that black stuck,
Mhm.
starts to move it. And then you go deeper and you discover your light, and the light starts to flow through, and you will be amazed at the inner truths that you will discover about yourself, your deeper knowing, and much more uplifting and higher vibration emotions are what come with that.
That's beautiful. I know that even in therapy now, they are coming with different tools like EMDR and tapping, right? Just so you don't want to push people to think about those traumatic events. Like you said, it's broken. Sometimes people even forget. Sometimes people don't want to even talk about it. And so I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think people need to understand that they know what trauma they went through and so they can fix it. But no, there's a lot of that stuck trauma that you don't even know about where you might need help and support, right?
That's right. And I'm glad you brought up tapping and EMDR. I went through a period where I did a lot of tapping, but I found the method worked better. I think the tapping satisfied my brain, but I will still at times, if I feel called to, if I feel guided, I will still breathe through the emotions and tap. If I want a fast response, if I'm short on time, I'm like, I need an extra tool here. And then, but it's about continuing to feel the emotion and process it at the emotional level. And so I've tried EMDR, which can be very successful. And the woman I tried it with, she has been a therapist for probably 40 years. So she would still lean into trying to create that picture, the scene, the memory a little bit. I just keep the focus on the emotions because that's what moves it. But even with the little gizmo that whether it's the eyes back and forth or the little vibration thing that goes between your hands, very helpful. And the more you can focus on your emotions, the more it will clear and you'll turn around and you're different. It's all helpful. I'm the kind of person, I want to get as much bang for my buck as I can. Investing my time, I want to get the most out of it. And so it really is allowing yourself to release the emotions without.
Right. And go really deep and release the emotions. Yeah, that makes sense. And what shifts do your clients experience once they start aligning with their true energetic identity?
They become their unbelievable selves. And it's funny because their relationships often change for the better. And sometimes for the worse. I had one, and for a number of weeks, she would come and say, "You're working on my husband, aren't you? What are you doing to my husband?" And I kept saying, "I'm not doing anything to your husband." And she was insistent. On the third time she asked me, she said, "He would have never said this before. He would have never done this. We've been married all these years. His behavior just keeps changing, and it was for the better." And I said, "It's only because your vibration is changing. Your behavior is changing, and what you're saying is different. So he's responding differently." And their marriage improved. I've had a number of women where the marriages improve. And then there's people where the marriage takes a nosedive and back, and it speeds up the realization that maybe we need to separate, or maybe we need to get some couples therapy or something like that. But the relationships, especially in career, bosses, relationships with coworkers shift dramatically. I had one client who we worked together, and her relationship with her boss, she was finding it really challenging. And after working with me, she was able to stand up for herself and say no when no was appropriate. And she started to not have any trouble with that. And her boss's boss wanted to have a meeting with her about her performance, because her performance started to just do better and better and better. And her income actually almost doubled in less than a year. She had come on a retreat, said, "By the way, Cheryl, I wanted to tell you my income almost doubled." And she was already well into the six figures. But she had this meeting with the boss's boss, and he wanted to learn more about what she was doing.
Wow, amazing.
Her career just kept going on and on, up and up and up, but her marriage failed. And she went for therapy, and she realized there was no hope here, and huge life changes, but so much happier, so much. And her children, so much happier.
Amazing. That's such a good story. And I want to talk about your signature healing work. What is the Azaris Energy Healing? Again, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Azaris?
Yes.
Okay. What does it mean, by the way? It's a very interesting name.
It is a very interesting name, isn't it? You can say Azarius, you can say Azarius. how
Mhm.
it feels comfortable. But the name came about. I had taught my certification program and I had this really long-winded name. And I taught it to a functional medicine doctor who was also a psychiatrist. And she came
Mhm.
back to me and she said, I'm telling all these people about this energy healing that I'm doing, all this work. And she said, the name is just too long. It's too much of a mouthful. She said, we need a different name. And I said, oh, okay. And I believe that the universe, God, source speaks to us through us. So it really resonated with me. And so
Mhm.
I meditated on it and I immediately saw Archangel Raphael came to earth once under the name of Azaris.
Oh,
He's
wow.
helped this guy, Tobias.
Interesting.
And when I read the story, I knew immediately, oh, that's the name. That
That's the name you wanted.
we are all healers. We can
Yeah.
learn to do this work and we can all merge with the Archangel Raphael,
Mhm.
be the more powerful healer because healing, if you ever hear from a healer that they're exhausted from a healing, they're doing the work.
Mm.
And that's not the highest level.
Mm.
I could do back-to-back healings. I can do 4 or 5 in a row. I get
Mhm.
so energized and on top of the world. And
Mhm.
my clients, they'll all feel so much lighter because it's not me doing it. True healing is opening yourself up truly to be that vessel to allow
Mhm.
divine healing to flow through you.
Right.
What I teach is we merge, we become a greater being, Archangel Raphael, even multiple beings at once. And that
Mhm.
sounds really wild and crazy. But
Mhm.
it is through that then I can pull all that dark energy from a person as I'm speaking with them, everything
Mhm.
going, and I bring it into my being. I bring in
Yeah.
heart chakra, all their dark, difficult, challenging pain, and I let it be processed and I give it back to them cleared.
Mm.
And so it's really, to me, it's such a divine form of healing. People say, well, are you worried about taking on the other person's stuff? We aren't separate anyway. Separation,
Mhm.
we are all one. If we think that we're separate from this other person, we're not. We're
Right.
not. And we all have the capacity to let any energy flow through us. So even to me, being an empath is a superpower.
Mm.
Empaths have the capacity to feel all these other people's emotion. Where they get hooked up is it scares them or it
Yes.
triggers their own emotions, and then those emotions get stuck.
Yes.
Developing that level of empathy just allows other people's emotions to flow through you. You don't have to keep them.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm so happy you mentioned that. Cheryl, I've had a lot of people in my recent interactions who are empaths, who are tired all the time. I believe, and I think we all are as human beings. I think we've just tuned ourselves to um, perceive certain energy or not, right? I think it's just such a busy world we live in. So some are more sensitive than the others that you can actually feel each other's energy. And for people skeptical about energy healing, how do you explain this work in a very grounded, accessible way?
How do I explain it in a grounded, accessible way? It's to me, it's I invite you to have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
If you're sitting and listening to this and you say, well, this is a bunch of bunk. I don't believe it. That's okay. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can have that. What I suggest to people, if you're at all, I can't make you be interested. I'm not interested in trying. But if you have a little bit of interest, I invite you to have your own experience.
Mm-hmm.
To experience something. You
Mm-hmm.
to experience the science of it, how it affects your brain, your hormones, your neural pathways in your brain. And we have thousands of systems, energy pathways moving throughout our being. Science has proven that.
Mm-hmm.
Thing. If you like the science of it, you need
Mm-hmm.
proof. It really is through the experience, but science has now proven that Petroleum photography has proven that we have light in our
Mhm.
bodies. We are made of light. We are energetic pathways. Our cells are changing all the time.
Mhm.
It really is about the experience.
Oh. And taking the time to understand it, right? If you want scientific evidence and truth, then there's a lot of information out there that's available today. What tends to change the fastest when someone begins healing their energetic blocks? I know you said relationships around you change and abundance finds a way to get into your space, but what else have you seen that changes the fastest?
I had one woman who had a frozen shoulder for over a decade. She did everything. Her doctor was insistent on surgery. I
Wow.
It's once we did enough healing, because remember I said trauma is stored through physical sensations. And so
Mhm.
physical pain, chronic illness. Now, I'm not saying it's a blanket statement. Oh, you're going to be healed. You're going to, physically. But people absolutely notice physical changes if they've had pain in the past, skin rash, different things.
Mhm.
Never said that before, or the way they respond.
Mhm.
They respond because the triggers are no longer in there.
Mhm.
So they're more fluid. They
Mhm.
We break it apart piece by piece. And I don't know if we're ever done. You know, I I've been doing this almost 32 years.
Mhm.
There's always a deeper layer because there's always a new level to rise to grow to become more.
Mhm. Amazing. And what's that one transformation story that stuck with you? One that reflects what's possible through this work?
Well, the one that comes to mind right now is Becky had come to see me, and she was probably around the age of 70, and I did a reading on her, and I'm
Mhm.
fine. I'd never done a reading like this before.
Mhm.
She had almost no light,
Mhm.
this light gray, and then she had the black spots where the wounds were, but I had a sense that she wasn't going to be with us much longer.
Mhm.
I didn't know her. I had just met her. And we talked, and she decided she wanted to work with me, but it took her a while to get going. She kept changing her mind. And I felt part of me, I was just like, oh gosh, I hope she does. I think she has more to offer the world. So she did work with me. I offered a retreat, a 5-day retreat. And she came on the retreat. And during the retreat, she confessed to me, Cheryl, I didn't tell you when I came to see you, but I was seriously considering taking my life. That's
Right.
I saw her as great. She had given up hope. She feeling totally alone in the world. Her
Mhm.
She was really in a bad way.
Mhm.
She discovered she was an artist. And she never wanted to be an artist because her mother was an artist and she thought she could never measure up. Well,
Mhm.
she is doing art like you wouldn't believe. She actually had someone asked her to have a show, so she's exhibited her art.
Wow.
She's so alive. She is so filled with light. Her friends, her spiritual friends, call her Sparky. She goes by the name of Sparky because she has all this sparkling light. So she does all this art and she writes a blog. She started
Wow.
she started the blog while we started working together, and she started to dabble in the art and kept going and kept going. And she's just so full of life and has new friends, everything so fulfilled and
Amazing.
lonely.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Cheryl. That's such a moving story. And you said she was 70 when she came to you? Wow.
She
And
was
for her to find purpose after that, at that point where a lot of people feel like there's nothing more left, right? At that age is beautiful. And I'd love for our listeners to walk away with something, Cheryl, that they can try today. What are one to two simple tools or practices we can use right now to begin shifting our energy?
I would love to share with you my ACE method. So
Mm-hmm.
ACE, ACE, you can remember it this way. Think of an ace of spades. A
Mm-hmm.
is for access, C is for clear, and E is for empower. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, I said we want to access those subconscious blocks, and the way we get into the subconscious is through a full breath breathing with the lower abdomen. Now, when
Mm-hmm.
I started this work, I breathed with my whole belly, but I learned later on breathing with the lower abdomen is actually more effective because then we don't switch into breathing into the chest. Right now, you can all just put your hand on your lower abdomen,
Mm-hmm.
your thumb at the level of your navel, and I want
Mm-hmm.
just try breathing down there. Relax the chest, relax the shoulders. They have nothing else to do. And you just inhale and exhale, extend the breath. You want to breathe to 6 or 8 seconds in and 6, 8 seconds out. That's it. It's a little bit of a workout at first.
Mm-hmm.
It changes your brain function. When we are just talking, your brain is using the back part of the brainstem, the oblongata. As soon as you activate your abdominal muscles to breathe, it shifts your brain function to the frontal lobe brain, and which gives you access to the right side of the brain, your subconscious. The key piece is a full breath. So you want to do this through meditation. You can close your eyes and
Mm-hmm.
windward. And I like to focus on the tip of the tailbone. That's always the best place to start, your root chakra. And you can think of any upsetting or irritating or disturbing incident in your life right now
Mm-hmm.
and just allow the first emotion to come up. Do you feel afraid, angry, sad? And just breathe into it. That's it. And then you can do, I'm gonna give a brief description here. Now you know how to do the full breath. So accessing, then you want to follow what I call the emotional thread. So you go deeper. Every emotion has a deeper emotion underneath it. There are layers of emotion. So it takes some time. So you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then the deepest healing happens, let's say you get to shame, or confusion is actually a very deep emotion, but let's use the emotion of shame. I think it's the deepest.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask yourself, when did I first feel this shame? And use the breath, especially the exhale. And you just tell your subconscious, please take me back to when I first felt shame. And your subconscious will always do that.
And so we shouldn't question it on whatever answer comes then at that point.
Go back, you'll have a sense of your age. So
Mm.
the memory doesn't really start to develop well until age 4, but we have somatic memory as early as in the womb. I do a lot of healing in the womb. Most mature women, we usually end up going back to the womb. So you'll go back, and in the beginning, it might be age. You might think, I'm around 3 or 4, you'll get a sense of it. You might have a memory, notice the memory, but you don't have to keep going with the memory. Fill in all the blanks. And then you feel the emotion there, and this clears it. That's the C is for clear. So A is for access, full breath. C is for clear. You keep using the full breath and you breathe through that deeper emotion early on and you want to keep going until it dissipates. It doesn't have to dissipate completely, but move into the E for empowerment. And so is then you can love your little self up. Let's say you're 4 years old, something happened, say your mother yelled at you. I haven't yet met a mother that didn't yell at their child. Guilty over here.
Aren't we all?
We're not perfect, but then you can love yourself up and be the mother that she wasn't able to be to yourself. You didn't deserve it. It wasn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. Your mother was upset at the time, or your mother was wounded. She was doing her best. You deserve to be loved. And then you love your little self up and you keep breathing and you become the little self again. And you inhale all those loving and kind words from your adult self. And that'll start to shift things for you. And then you can ask yourself, how do you feel now? Which you always feel. It's usually inspiring and uplifting emotions. And what do you believe about yourself? And that's the empowerment. So if you remember, A is for access, C is for clear,
Clearing.
E is for empower. And I'm going to include a link to my 3 powerful meditations so you can listen along with me and try this at home.
Amazing. That's so generous of you, Cheryl. Thank you. And where can one find your books or learn more about the Star of Divine Light Institute?
Look at my website, starofdivinelight.com. It's all lowercase, one word, Star of Divine Light. And find my books there, or you can find them on Amazon. Easy. Find me on Instagram and LinkedIn.
Amazing. And I link everything down below in the description box. The people and listeners can access it right away. Cheryl, thank you for sharing your wisdom and presence with us today. This conversation was so grounding, and I think I'm still in awe of everything you shared. It's so expansive, and I know so many women will feel seen and will feel supported by it. But before we close, what is one final message you would love to leave women with as they step into their next chapter of life?
Yes, as you step into your next chapter, remember that you are all powerful beyond belief, powerful beyond what you can currently even imagine.
Amazing. And thank you so much for being here. And to the listeners, thank you for tuning in. If today's episode resonated, please share it with someone who needs this. And as always, stay aligned, stay curious, and stay committed to your vision. Thank you.